Speaking of, hello, Real Chat. Hi. I'm up on the Real Chat. Real Chat, can you both hear me and see me? You can? Yes, yes, yes. Ah! How is everybody? In Real Chat land. Hi, hi. Yes, yes. How was Theory Thursday for everybody yesterday? How was it? Did we love it? I liked it. I thought it was good. Hi. I'm still on Burger Right Chat. Yes. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. So good. Just finishing it. Okay, cool. Yay. Yeah. All right. So you guys, it's Fuck Off Friday, which means I have to start being really mean to you. But my account was on restriction. I think doing the TikTok shop things have helped it get off restriction faster, though. This is like so blurry, and I used to have this little thing to clean it, but I took it with me to Fresno to do media for the Ramsey campaign, and I lost it in my purse. Okay, well that's a little better. So this is Fuck Off Friday, so I have to be mean to you guys now, to get you to come over, to the real stream. So that's how that goes. So let's get ready. You guys, I know it's really funny, right, Dumber? You guys are dumb. It's not your fault you're dumb, but you are dumb. Some of the dumbest people I've ever encountered, if I'm being honest. It's crazy. TikTok has become, especially since the sale in January, I'm just going to say, just like a hub for dumb. It's just marinating in dumbness. Anything political that doesn't fit into a standard Fox News, CNN kind of fake fight thing between the besties, secret besties, Republicans and Democrats, is not shown to you anymore. Real news is not shown to you anymore. Even before the sale, real news was only this much shown to you. You are getting a very propagandized, ding-dong, terrifying version of reality here. Because you don't read. Let's be real, we know you don't read. Because you don't read, you're getting stupider by the minute. I've watched it happen. Other people are watching it happen. You are the literacy crisis. And what's crazy is you don't think you're the literacy crisis, but you are. You are the literacy crisis. So, because you're dumb, you need to start engaging, at the very least, in long-form content. Ideally, you'd read books, but I know you won't do that. You and I both know you won't do that. So the bare minimum you could do is engage in long-form content where people can explain concepts and talk about concepts longer than a 3-minute soundbite. Let's be real. You're only in for a minute and 15 seconds on every video anyway, statistically. So, a minute and 15 second soundbite. You need to be consuming information in ways that are longer than a minute and 15 seconds for you to actually understand it. You're not going to get that on this app. This app is the Be Stupid by TikTok Shop app, which is why I have a product pinned on my page for sunscreen. The sunscreen is vegan. It's fine. You can buy the sunscreen if you want. I don't really know. So, what does that mean? That means you can come join us over on Twitch if you'd like. Here's a few things I like about Twitch, okay? So the first thing I like about Twitch is that you can tell it's a platform designed for streaming. You can also tell TikTok just added this shit in afterwards when it was like, people like streaming, we'll do that too, right? It's way better. You can pull up sources over on Twitch. You can get more into it. It's just better. It's better. So you're going to like it more. So I would say go over to Twitch. If you like watching live streamers, it's a better platform for it. It's free. You can choose to support your favorite streamers with a subscription. You don't have to. You can watch totally for free. It's fine. Okay? So, there's that. And second of all, we do it for our streams usually around 2 hours long. So we get into one topic for 2 hours. We get really into it. We really talk about it. And you learn a lot. I learn a lot from our streams because we do current events. I learn stuff that I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Yesterday we were learning about Central African Republic. Country CAR in the middle of Africa. The day before that we were learning about Congo Brazzaville. Stuff you probably don't know about. Right? Yeah, Jonica's over here. Yay, first time chat. Welcome, Jonica. We got some of you. So come join us. It's Fuck Off Friday. I need to get meaner, but I'm kind of in a good mood this morning, so I don't know. Come join us. You ding-dongs. You stupids. You ugly stupids. Come on over. How do you find streamers on Twitch? So the easiest thing to do is to just search for one person you like, and then they usually will have recommendations. And that's what I've done to try to find people. And then at the end of every stream, you have the option to send your viewers to another person, and a lot of people do that. So if you check the end of people's streams, that'll happen too. Like, I send all of my people to Larry, who's a Canadian communist over on Twitch, who I think is really cool. Fork to Larry pipeline. Exactly. The college data ransom hack? No, I'm going to need to hear about that immediately. So let me... I was meaner yesterday. I'm all meaned out. I gotta get off with these guys here. I gotta not get off with them. That would be inappropriate. I have to hang up with them. So I'm gonna hang up with you guys. Necklace. I wasn't lying. I probably am gonna wear it every day. And I figured out why it's not stamped 65. They said 65, right? I haven't sold sterling silver in a long time. I only sell stainless steel now, but I used to have a sterling silver job. Stamped 65, yeah. It's not stamped that, but I guess it's because it's plated. It's not solid. Cambodia. Fuck. You're so right. Hang up. It's definitely, I know, right? Hang up. I'm going to hang it up. 925. Thank you, Greg and Gifted Crystals. 925. It's been a long time. I was like, shit, I haven't sold sterling silver jewelry in 16 years? That's crazy. I was not vegan when I was selling sterling silver jewelry for a living, professionally. 925. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Oh, really? It was your favorite radio station at work? 92.5. Sterling. What a great name. Love that. Okay, so I'm going to hang up with you guys, and we're going to go over to Twitch. So come join us on Twitch. It's Madeline Pendleton there as well, just no underscore. And we're going to learn about what's going on in the world today. You're voting Ramsey! Yay! I'm so happy. You seem rebellious. Why do you do well at school if you're rebellious? Because the ultimate rebellion is getting smart. Literacy is the ultimate rebellion. There's a reason why when the revolutionaries win, the first thing they do is teach everybody how to read. If you're a real rebel, if you really are rebellious, the most important thing you can do is read, learn, study. That's why. Literacy is how we win. It's true. You need to read theory. You need to learn history. They don't want you learning these things. There's a reason. So get on it. Okay, I'm hanging up here. Bye. Oh no, I hit something else. Okay. I wasn't very mean today. I don't have it in me today. California's DSA voting guide. No, should I look? I want to look. As a special treat, I'm going to look. What books do you read for someone getting into communism? First time chat. Principles of Communism by Engel and 3 Sources, 3 Components, Parts of Marxism by Lenin are really good but short reads. Edible is a great recommendations. I, too, usually tell people to start with Principles of Communism by Engels. It's the first draft of the Communist Manifesto, but I think the way it's written works better in our day and age for people with ADHD ping pong brain. I know, it's kind of friendly. I tried. I was a little mean for a second, maybe. Also, for those of you guys who told me that there was a glitch in the upload of our most recent podcast episode on Yugoslavia, I fixed it. I'm not sure how. On my end, I uploaded it into the RSS ether. I don't know how that works for you to get the update, but it is updated now. So, Ash, I got Ash here. Ash, are you going to start streaming? Are you? You were like, I don't want to be an ugly stupid. Exactly. Okay, what's the California DSA voting guide? Boom, boom, boom. I'm looking. Is it this one? Is this what you guys are looking at? Okay. Tom Steyer? They're advocating you vote Tom Steyer? Yugo Raid! Oh my god, welcome, Yugo Raid! You got Nick? Yay! Hi! Hi, Yugo Twitchers! Ah, my most cherished raid. I love Yugo. Welcome, everybody. We're just getting started today. You got a good time. Hi. Wow. Hello. We love to see it. Jonica's new here. A raid is when a streamer ends their stream and they send all their viewers to somebody else that they like to watch their stream as well. Yes, welcome. You were promised theory. We did theory yesterday. We read Kim Jong-il yesterday, and it was really good. So yesterday we read Kim Jong-il talking about socialism as a science, and what was really interesting is he was talking about how it was written in 1994. Well, let's get out of the California DSA jump scare. So it was written in 1994, and he was talking about, obviously, the USSR had just been dismantled, but also China was going through some reforms that had the capacity, to do more than the Dengist market liberalizations, and a lot of communists were really freaked out by them at the time. So he was like, more than just having an economic 5-year plan or whatever, like more than your economic plan, or just as important rather as your economic plan, you have to have an ideological plan. You have to keep your people ideologically strong. And like that's one of the things that Juche like brought to communism, is the idea that your ideology is just as important as your economy. And I agree with that 100%. So it was very, very interesting. Yes. Yes. Hi everybody. So today we're not going to be doing theory, but today we're going to be talking about current events. So here's our structure for everybody new here. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to do a 10-minute, set a timer and do a 10-minute Q&A where you can ask anything. You can ask questions about me. You can ask questions about things you're confused about communism. If I can't answer them, I'll direct you towards somebody who maybe can. You can ask any questions you want whatsoever in the world for 10 minutes. After that, we'll enter a period where everybody gets to recommend a topic for us to talk about today in current events in the world. And the top 5 people, the first 5 people who recommend one, we then do a poll and everybody votes on which one we want to discuss. And then we spend the majority of the stream discussing that one article, that one topic in current events. And the final 20 to 30 minutes of the stream, we fill in a map we have of the world camps. So we pick a country and we do a deep dive on it to figure out what camp, if the world is divided as camps, as they call us campus, what camp does this country belong to? And that's kind of how it's going to go. And we'll be here for around 2 more hours. Okay, so hold on. Let me set the timer for the Q&A. Everybody get ready with your questions. And again, any kind of question. If you can ask me my favorite food, or you can ask questions about the DPRK. It doesn't matter. And go. All right, so questions start now. Yeah, your country might be cucked. Okay, so Stalk the Rat King. I'm really confused on the argument that vote for Ramsey is a waste beyond just fear-mongering. Because to me, there's so many runners that actually makes the perfect time to push a third party, because we'll only need 15% to become at least third place. I don't understand how to make 2 Republicans go through. Okay, so for those of you who aren't from California, we have a Marxist-Leninist running for governor out here in California that's getting really, really popular. He's running on a Lenin model of electoral engagement. And all these people are now trying, we have this like social media movement building for him. People are really excited about him. And we have an actual socialist electoral arm that it's kind of like an umbrella arm out here. It's called the Peace and Freedom Party in California only. And they are running 4 outward Marxist-Leninists and 1 just general Marxist for office. They're all doing pretty well. And the Peace and Freedom Party is now officially the 3rd largest party in California and the fastest growing. So people are really into it. So now all these people are like saying, don't vote for Ramsey Robinson because it's somehow going to give you two Republicans or something like that. The way that our primary system works here is that it's a top 2 system. So it means that regardless of your party, the 2 people with the most votes go on. Now, the problem is that the Democrats have, I think, 24 candidates running for governor. The Republicans have a shit ton too. Peace and Freedom Party, we just have 1 guy. It's Ramsey Robinson. Hi from Andalusia. Hello. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. And now they're trying to say that what if 2 Republicans end up? That's not how polling is going now. So hold on, let me look. I'm going to show you guys this, the most recent one. The New York Crimes. Let's look at that. Now, so the current polling, these are all different polls. None have 2 Republicans even in the top 3. So that's just the Democrats lying to you, basically. That's liberals lying to you. Just be like, what 2 Republicans are polling high enough for that to become a reality? They're not. And I honestly think the Democrats run so many candidates so they can tell you voting third party would split the vote. Because in one recent survey that came out, it was a poll, it showed that where they actually included Butch Ware, who's the Green Party guy, not my thing. Butch Ware to me, weird about China, weird about abortion, weird about trans people, not for me. But it actually included Butch Ware and Ramsey Robinson. Butch Ware and Ramsey Robinson were polling the highest. So this actually is scary to Democrats in California. So I think that's why they run so many candidates, so they can sell you the splitting the vote thing. But mathematically, it's not. Yeah, that's it. All right. So where is? Sorry, I lost it. Where's the next question in the chat? I'm trying to go in order. Okay, you know what? You're going to have to ask it again. So I'm looking at the chat now. So next question goes. A favorite alternative subculture. You know, I I loved the punk scene when I was in it growing up. I love Electoral was probably my favorite though. Okay, what are your opinions on far-right party Reform UK winning in the English election so far? Yes, about what I would expect from the Brits. Do you listen to Ethel Kane? No. What's the biggest creative project I'm currently working on? I have no time for creative projects. I'm literally all in on my commie club shit. You know, I do organizing work. I also do the electoral work with Peace and Freedom Party right now in the Lenin model, etc. So I got no time for creative anything. And my job's kind of creative. Okay, let's see. John, I think he's a democratic socialist. I have the same opinions about all democratic socialists that Engels laid out in Principles of Communism 1847. And so far as our goals and interests align, we will work together with them, but we will stop if they throw communists under the bus. That's it. And I will say, Hassan Piker's never thrown me under the bus, which is nice. Okay, you're starting to go vegan. I don't really have tips beyond that. What's my favorite song from the DPRK? Well, I like the girl band. Is it Morong Bang? Is that the name of the girl band? I love the girl band. And I have a lot of art girlfriends who also love the girl band. They're not super, super political, but they love the North Korean girl band. And I think that's good. I think we're getting through to the art girlies on North Korea by sheer aesthetics alone, which is very, very cool. China provided funding to the Mujahideen for Operation Cyclone. So you'll see this not just with the Mujahideen. You'll see this with lots of places. China provided funding and support for lots of places. And I want to actually speak to more of an era of realpolitik that was kind of pushed forward by the Kissinger agenda in the United States and went on post-Kissinger too. So you have to understand that when Deng did market liberalization reforms, Americans didn't understand that China was still communist. They thought because we can make money in China, China's no longer a threat to us, we could potentially work with China. And this was a blessing for China because it meant that China was out of the crosshairs for the United States for a long time. And it invited China into the global stage in a way that places like Russia, for example, still have not been invited into the global stage. So what ended up happening is you need to understand this in the context of a number of triangular deals that the United States government was making with China, that China's main focus at the time was eliminating poverty in China. So they were vying for market reforms and market opening up in a way that would lift their people out of poverty. We now have the benefit of hindsight. We see that was successful. 800 million people were lifted out of poverty in China. But it did lead to a series of strategic triangulations wherein the United States would give an advantageous deal to China for trade if China did something that was advantageous to the West. And at various times, the Mujahideen was beneficial to the West, right? The United States worked with the Mujahideen at various points, and at various points we didn't. So that relationship has never been just on its own a relationship. It's always triangulated against the United States' best interests. And if you have that understanding and orientation, it'll allow you to better understand geopolitics on the whole. So, okay, wait, hold on. Other questions? Gerrymandering? It's all about electoralism anyway. It's just more proof that electoralism's bullshit. It's like, of course they're rigging the elections. They don't even let you choose the guys to vote for. Like, of course you don't have real democracy under capitalism. Kind of doy. Okay. Powell's bookstore. I once did a book tour at Powell's. They did some union busting in the past, though, but I made sure that the union contract and negotiation was good before I went in, so that was nice. Communism very much does take human nature into account. By all behavioral analysis shows that human beings naturally actually work together. Yes, after the Cultural Revolution and Deng, exactly. But the Dengist reforms started the relationship of the United States and China working together more amicably. That's why China is what it is today and Russia isn't, right? It was because of that reform policy and because Americans just being like short-sighted. Capitalism is short-sighted. It's like we can make money in China. That was it. TikTok creator fund like 6 cents per video instead of $10, Donica. So I am a little different because I did not join the creator fund really until things had already started to switch over, because I was like, if I'm gonna get harassed all day by these fucks, I might as well get paid for it. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking for more. Was Deng a good thing for socialism? I think that Deng was a good thing for socialism in China. I think as Marx told us, right, the conditions for the transition out of capitalism to socialism are going to be different everywhere. And everywhere has unique conditions. I think China's unique condition, as Deng actually said, is that they had a massive population, a huge population, and very limited infrastructure because they were still basically feudal when they had their revolution. There were areas of China they couldn't even get to see what was going on there. Like, think about how wild it was when they showed up in Tibet. And they were like, oh, fuck, what do you guys have going on over here? Right? So their unique condition was their massive population and massive rural population, and that they couldn't even get to. So their primary concern was building infrastructure and eradicating poverty. And I think those were conditions unique to socialism in China. And I think we can see the proof is in the pudding. They were successful at that. So I think Deng was good for Chinese socialism. I don't think a Dengist approach would necessarily work everywhere, though, right? Because everywhere has unique conditions. Would I be willing to work on a communist feature film? Yes, I love working. I also like revolutionary thought. Okay. Communism can only work for a small community of 50 today. I don't know if you guys can see this person. They're a suspicious user. You can't organize a 1 million people city is community. China literally is organizing billions of people. I don't know what that means. Cuba, 10 million people organized. What is that? What are you saying right now? What's the population of North Korea? What is it, like 30 million people? Something like that? Right. Yeah, Dengism only makes sense in a capitalist-dominated world. Eventually, it will all fall by the wayside. Exactly. You can see them. Okay. Malik, do you need homework? What is Malik's thing? What kind of homework do we need to give to Malik? Oh! Q&A time up. Q&A time up. For those of you who don't know, also when we get a troll, sometimes we assign them homework. We haven't done it in a while. We haven't had many trolls lately. We assign them homework, and then we put them on timeout so they can read the homework, and they come back if they summarize the homework they read, and it's just theory. Then we let them stay. Is Malik talking about human nature? Hello, hello. Okay, so with that said, we are now done with Q&A. Malik has no clue what communism is. Oh, should we just do principles of communism, or should we do something about human nature? What do you think? People are inherently violent, and communists want your toothbrush. Oh. He needs all of Marx. He needs all of the history. Oh. Shit. He needs the... This isn't even Marxist. This isn't even a Marxist thing we need to give him. We need to give him just like... just human nature. To the gulag. The absolute basics. Okay, we'll give principles. Okay, we'll give principles. That's easy than me trying to find this study right now. So Malik, here's how it goes. You have incurred the homework gulag. So here's what homework gulag means. I'm going to give you a link, and you have to read this, okay? And it's a short read. It's only going to take 15 or 20 minutes for you to read. Now, to come back, if you want to keep talking with us here, you have to summarize what you read for us. And if you do that, then you're allowed to stay, and we will answer your questions, okay? So that's how it goes. So I'm going to reply to you right now with a link for you to read, and I'm going to put you on a timeout. And then when your timeout is up, you have to say, hi, my timeout's up. I still want to be here. And then you're going to summarize what you read, and then you can stay and talk. Okay? You have to work. Okay, well, I'm giving you the link anyway. There you go. And you let us know. Okay? All right. Just to be safe, we're just going to time you out for 10 minutes. All right? Okay. So that's how that goes. Okay. We haven't done homework in a while. We haven't had as many trolls. The trolls have been over in my TikTok live streams yelling about Ukraine. They have been. All right. Okay, everybody. Let's get into the news. When I say go, not yet, you're going to have the opportunity to send a link to news you would like to discuss with the group today. So take a second to get your links ready. Also, if you have any videos you would like the chat to all watch together while the voting is in process, feel free to send those now. Anything you just think is fun. Otherwise, I'm going to torture you all with the California DSA voter guide, which contains unspeakable horrors from what I've been able to tell so far. Yeah, Kubashi, that's true, because we have Kubashi as a mod now, and Kubashi just bans everybody, which I love.
Ever had a day powered by Israel and didn't even notice? You wake up late.
Muted. Okay, we're gonna play this.
Wade saves you. Your car's using Mobileye, watching the road with you. You get to work? Your site's built on Wix. Not feeling great?
They're dropping the ban
Israel
list.
invented a camera you can swallow. Hillcam.
They're dropping the ban list, guys.
Tech that helps people walk again. Rewalk. And medicine changing lives. Copaxone. Ever plug in a USB? Yeah, that too. Growing food with drip
Boycott
irrigation?
list.
Using
Boycott
barely
list.
any water? And even water made from air. What about cherry tomatoes? Snack-sized genius.
Never eating a cherry tomato again.
Or lab-grown meat. Or milk.
Never
without the
drinking milk
cow.
again.
All that from a small country in the
Go
Mediterranean?
vegan now.
From
Israel
the
invented
Bible
factory
to the
farming.
present day, always innovating. Ever had a day?
Wow, Car, thank you. That was horrifying. That was disturbing and awful, and I hated that. that was something amazing. Boycotts water. Oh, you invented rain? I'm never getting one again. Most effective vegan. That did what I couldn't do in 15 years. Oh, amazing. Okay. Fascinating. No, all your horrors were created by Israel. Now you know. Okay, everybody. Get your links ready. If anybody has any news they'd like to discuss, we're getting ready for the drop. 3, 2, 1, go. Any news. Feel free to drop now. Top 5 recs we will take. Okay. Oh, here they all come. Okay, we got them all. I'm still tripping out about the California voter guide. All right. The first one I'm pulling up is Utah's hyperscale data center. Yeah, that's horrifying. That's awful. Okay. Then we have a New York Crimes article. How war in the Middle East paralyzed an Asian food giant. Okay, that's super interesting. Then we have Black Cement 34. Oh, in America's poorest state, unhoused people may soon be jailed. I kind of thought that was already happening. And you guys know the California tied for first place for highest level of poverty in the United States, right? That's what the Democrats do for you. We have non-paywalled article. The U.S. will start revoking passports for tens of thousands of parents who owe child support. Okay. All right. Get those pores out of here. You know, the thing about it is the child support, we obviously, that's good, right? We support that. But as somebody who was raised with a single father, child support can often be weaponized against the poor, which is interesting. And then we have Hantavirus. Okay, I've got my 5, everybody. So since Virgo's not here, I'm going to run the poll. I'm going to show you what you're voting on, though, okay? Our options are Utah data center, war in the Middle East paralyzing an Asian food giant. This is very interesting to me. Locking up the poors. We've got an article on that in Louisiana, who we tied for first place with. They leave that out. America's poorest state. It's Louisiana and California. So if you ever needed proof in the United States, it's the Republicans and the Democrats. It's Louisiana and California that are the poorest. We tied for first. The United States will start revoking passports for thousands of parents who owe child support. And then the Hantavirus, or which obviously we would look up additional information on the Hantavirus. Targeting their own base for unpaid child support. So true. Z, the commie, wants us to learn about Fresno, California, but you don't have to learn about Fresno, California, chat, because the Greater Fresno Project is coming for you soon. We will force you to learn about Fresno, California, and how we actually invented rain. and factory farming. Okay. So, you got your too late to share Honduras Gate news. By any means necessary, says Americans, please note for the Vietnam article, we are under fuel rationing and our food production is going down. What's happening to us now is literally slated to hit you all around September and October. Thank you for sharing that. By any means necessary. Video about Hantavirus. Everybody should watch. Hegel's Big Dialecticals. We'll watch this while the poll is going on. So I'm going to pin this for a second. We're going to watch that, though, as a group. So nobody has to watch that on their own. So I'm going to launch the poll on my own, like an adult, since Virgo's not here today. What do we read? Utah. Everything's in caps. I'm going Unk Core. The whole poll's in caps. Okay, I've got it going. No additional votes allowed on this one. No rigging the votes. Starting the poll now. So you guys should be able to see it. Refresh at the top of your screen. It should be there. If not, refresh. And in the meantime, we're going to watch this video while we wait.
I'm going to be honest with you guys about this Hantavirus thing. You all are worried about the wrong thing constantly. Constantly when it comes to public health. It's really, it makes my eyes hurt. Hi, my name is Evan. I'm a bioethicist and I specialize in misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories as a threat to public health. Now, before somebody does that thing, no, I'm not minimizing the real mortality rates of Hantavirus. It is bad. If you catch it, if you encounter it and you catch it.
No, I'm 39
especially
now. I am
some
older
of the
than people
types
think.
that we have in North America, like the Nombre type, you know, it is pretty mortally dangerous. If you remember, Gene Hackman and his wife passed away from it. Well, technically, she passed away from it, and then he passed away from, like, not eating and neglect, whatever. The point is that it does take life. It is a very serious virus to catch. If you catch it, if you're exposed to it, if you're anywhere near it, okay? Hantavirus is also weirdly like a wild type virus. It just be outside. It's out here in your deer mice. It's out here
I don't
in
think
some
I have
of your
deer
different
mice,
types
though.
of rats. It's out here in all sorts of rodents. Okay? And this is the season for it because it really likes to sort of, depending on the region. Now, again, I don't know all like 40 and 50 types, but I know the history of particular types in the U.S. if you are exposed to it. But one of the things that happens is that it grows in rodent populations in the spring because it gets warm, rodents start to do the little sideways shimmy, and they make more rodents, and they come across it, pick it up, and then they bring it into your home. See what I'm saying? But you live around Hantavirus all the time, depending on the region of the United States you live in, right? Yeah, that is real. There are a lot of things that you live around that are endemic, syndemic, epidemic levels all the time. There's outbreaks of things a lot of the time. And that is why I'm a little annoyed by how much you all are like honing in on the Hantavirus thing.
Ghost in this house says I still think they should have sunk the bourgeois cruise
right?
ship.
You've got a number of countries who are well prepared or well preparing to receive people who may
If you guys
test
haven't
positive
voted,
or have
vote.
test positive
Vote or
or
gulag
displaying
also.
signs of
Voting's
sickness
mandatory here.
And then need, there's not a lot of therapeutic intervention, so you have to kind of write it out. So they have to provide like comfort care essentially. But if you were hearing about it, that means that people who work in public health been heard about it. They're working on it. They're doing it. They're doing the thing.
Wait, the tickets on the cruise are $20,000?
That if you're hearing about it on social media from a random person who does not work in public health or medicine, chances are that means that they have pretty easy access to the information. And so it doesn't make sense that somebody who doesn't work in public health, who isn't on any of these networks and any of these closed system email chains between like public health entities and organizations who all work together, like your healthcare systems who have pandemic teams,
$200.
All of that is internal.
For 2 people in 6 days. Found on AmericanDiscountCruises.com. Highly
has
recommend.
all the information, is giving it to you.
Lots of vegan
information
food.
Is available
Lots of vegan food
on purpose.
It was horrible.
To inform you.
I mean, it wasn't fun.
Every day
I'm glad I
did
it once.
And so things can mutate,
the
things
Bahamas.
can change. We can learn more as we start to test people and see what kind of strain it is and has it changed from its origin.
It's really cheap
blah, 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 right? That is common. That happens all the time, especially with things like viruses.
You have no interest. That makes sense.
But just to put this in perspective. So, for example, this is the Philadelphia Health Alert System. You can literally Google this. It is available to you through Google. One Google will do it. And you know why? Because they want you to know.
Not
they
the
want you to
Hantavirus.
that alert. They want you to
okay. The
advise
poll's
you.
almost
They've got a
ending.
color system for you, okay?
Poll is almost
as
ending.
You can see,
so
as of May
there.
1st, 6 days ago, there is an alert for measles outbreaks. There's 3 to 5 cases that have been confirmed in the Lebanon Valley. And measles is...
Wait, I think this is interesting from a chatter. Vietnam and Iran. Okay, good. I'm glad that won. That's what I was interested in, too. Just Lurking 26 says, just want to add, as someone with a degree in biology, the main vector for humans is inhaling dust from dried rodent droppings. That's why infection rates spike during spring cleaning season. You can take precautionary measures wearing a mask while doing any cleaning, especially in attics and garages. Nice. Okay, we learned. All right. So, yeah, I think this is still penned if you guys want to watch the rest of the video. We do have a win on our poll though, so I think we should get into it. Thank you for sharing this also. Thank you. 2023 coronavirus, 2026 Hantavirus. No, I didn't see that. Or RFK is going to block all of the vaccines because of autism, probably. Yeah, that's true. That's going to happen. Okay. We are now gonna get into today's programming. Okay, wait, Car. I was accepted in a social work course at nearby college. Yay! Wait, you had a change of heart for your career, but you're spontaneous. Yes. Okay. Yay! Wow, amazing. That's gonna be so good. I think that's gonna be awesome. Win. All right. Should we get into the news, guys? Let's get into the news. Today's story we are looking at is Mekong Dispatch, How War in the Middle East Paralyzed an Asian Food Giant, courtesy of New York Times, New York Crimes. A boat transporting newly harvested rice in Vietnam in late March. I will say this is a stunning layout. Just pure graphic design. It's beautiful. I'm engaged. I'm brought in. I like the photo. I like the text treatment. Graphic design crit. Unfortunately, very good. And again, just not to... critique self-critique, comrades. Let's just go. I just want to remind everybody. This is what the communists are bringing to the table in terms of graphic design. This is what we're working with. This is what the capitalists are doing. We take note, comrades. Clean, legible, engaging. And then there's this. So, look, I'm just saying, if we critique self-critique, I think we all know this is an opportunity for us, not a win. All right? I'm just going to say. You think this is more on trend? Well, there might be an argument for that. Tricontinental Institute consistently has great designs. Okay. All right. Y2K is back. That is so true. There are artistic. We have artists. We are beard maxing. This is why David thinks the true power of the communists lays in the beard. We need to do better. We could do better. Yeah, maybe get the trots on that. It's a good use of their time. Let's send the trots to go take graphic design courses. All right. So Vietnam, the world's #2 rice exporter, cut production as power prices surged. Even with a temporary ceasefire in Iran, worries linger over the world's food supply. This is major to me. I eat mostly rice. This is, as vegan, this is most of my diet. A dozen barges heavy with just harvested rice cut their engines and floated to a halt. 2 huge rice mills upriver stopped dehusking and bagging as electricity prices peaked. It was mid-morning in Vietnam's Mekong River Delta, one of the most productive agriculture areas on Earth, in a nation that is the world's second largest exporter of rice. Only birds and a stray motorbike could be heard, and in the quiet, anxieties unfurled. Boats carrying newly harvested rice line up to enter a processing center. And this is a pipe used to transfer newly harvested rice from a cargo boat to a processing center. Boat captains talked about diesel prices doubling, surging higher and for longer than they did after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. And a lot of people don't know this. Ukraine's also an issue of natural gas. Natural gas in particular is Ukraine. Workers on the water and your forklifts worried about having to find new jobs. The scarcity of fuel, I think it's also oil though, because if I remember correctly, wasn't Biden's son, that little freaky junior Biden, what the fuck was that guy's name? Hunter Biden? Wasn't he a lawyer at a Ukrainian oil company? Wasn't that what it was? It wasn't oil. Energy. It was a Ukrainian energy firm, not oil specifically. Okay. But this also does have to do with the Ukraine situation in the United States and Europe's interest in Ukraine is specific to energy as well. And it's worth noting that the coup of 2013 and 2014 was prompted by an energy trade deal that the Western world thought Ukraine was doing with Russia that was too advantageous for Russia, and that prompted the entire coup. So everything in the world comes back down to energy. And that's really what we're seeing right now. It's the same thing we saw in 2001, the war on terror. It's the same thing that's happening now. It's all about that. The Congo. Yeah, you know the one. The Russia-Ukraine war started in 2022, but before that, starting in 2014, there was conflict because after the coup, the new Ukrainian government started facilitating ethnic cleansing and neo-Nazi ideology, right? And that's what led to Crimea being terrorized by Nazis in the new Ukrainian government and seeking refuge in Russia for safety. And that led to the famous 2014 Crimea referendum, where over 90% of Crimea asked to join Russia for safety. And then subsequently, the Donbass region asking as well, being basically locked out of it for a number of reasons. Russia said no because they needed friends in Ukraine because they were worried the new government was going to try to go to war with them, seeking NATO assistance. And then ultimately the agreement was that Donbass would seek independence and become their own country, and Russia would support them in that. And Ukraine obviously refused to allow the Donbass to secede and become their own nation, and that led to Russia supporting the Donbass's independence movement in the 20-teens. But that all happened before the 2022 official declaration of war. So that happened in 2022. So that's kind of the timeline for it. So workers on the water and your forklifts worried about having to find new jobs. The scarcity of fuel and fertilizer from the Middle East was already seizing up a food-producing giant. And no matter how the war in Iran goes, the next planting looked shaky too. If I grow new crops, I'm just pouring money into the ground, said Voman Tom, a rice farmer who owns a farm supply store where he stopped stocking fertilizer because so many neighbors have paused plans for the May growing season. I'd rather leave it abandoned. Vietnam's stalled land of plenty shows how the war, even with the 2-week ceasefire announced on Tuesday, which is a joke, has caused an immediate shock to the global food supply that's sparking a chain reaction of long-term disruption. And we talked about this as well in a stream, but the reason why there's a ceasefire that's not even actually a ceasefire is because legislatively in the United States, as long as there's a ceasefire, there's no time limit on how long Trump can do this without seeking congressional approval for more funding. Once the ceasefire is declared to be done, then there's a 60-day time limit from Congress for how long Trump is allowed to just spend until requesting more money from Congress, at which point Congress could deny it. So even though there's still fighting going on between Iran and the United States, even though they're still firing on each other and it's not actually a ceasefire, it needs to be formally declared a ceasefire still in the United States, because from the point that it no longer is, Donald Trump has 60 days to wrap up the war before potentially having all of the funding for it cut by Congress. So as long as you hear we have a ceasefire, what you're really hearing is Donald Trump doesn't think he can end this war in 60 days' time. And that's why Iran is able to bomb our shit and steal our boats and stuff. And we're like, no, they're still honoring the ceasefire. We swear it's cool, guys. It's cool, guys. They're not. We're not. Nobody is. But we have to say they are so that 60-day countdown timer doesn't start. As always, thank you for waterboarding me, chat. Okay. So let's get back into it. Is the objective still regime change? I mean, the objective has always been oil, right? That's always been the objective. That was the objective in 1953 when we overthrew the democratically elected Prime Minister Mossadegh. That was because he made moves to nationalize oil. And we and Europe did not like that. So we went in together in a joint operation with MI6 and CIA to overthrow Mossadegh. And of course, what we did was we uplifted the power of the Shah from the Pahlavi dynasty, right? And he basically operated as a Western puppet dictator to allow us and Europe access to oil. So the 1979 Iranian Revolution ousted the U.S. puppet government and installed the government that they more or less have today. Obviously, they have continuity of leadership. They have elections. You know, a lot of Westerners don't know this, but it's like the idea that the Ayatollah is like a dictator of Iran is crazy. They have their own assembly, parliament system, prime minister, president. They have a president and assembly, if I remember correctly. Terms used loosely. They have elected leadership with the mass assembly / parliament vibes, whichever it is. And then they have the prime minister or president's role. I think it's president. There. So they have that whole elected branch of government very, very obviously as well. So the objective's the same. It's control the flow of oil. So when we say we wanted to regime change, we wanted to regime change to the Shah originally. We wanted to reinstate a Shah from the Pahlavi dynasty, obviously not the same ones because they've died, but there's been a string of them, who is sympathetic to Western business interests, who was meeting with Israel, meeting with the United States to be like, yes, I would like to be in charge of Iran, which basically would mean we would have another puppet dictator there. The Pahlavi dynasty is kind of our little puppet king. We can grab whenever we want and plop him down in Iran and be like, do our bidding, haha, dance. And they will. They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we love it. We love money and we love the West. Let's go. Take all our oil. Who fucking cares? So that was the goal. Now, I think what happened, just personal, this is my personal guess, is two things happened. First of all, Trump did not realize how deeply unpopular the Pahlavi dynasty is in Iran. And Trump even made a statement pretty soon into this being like, oh, actually, he can't be in charge there. He does not have any public support. So I think what they realized is the second they tried to do this, they'd be dealing with Iranian Revolution 2.0. And that's when they started switching gears and looking to that other group that operates in the United States. It's got an acronym of some letters. I can't remember off the top of my head, to potentially be the leadership instead. But they didn't really have support either. So that was number one. And then number two, they realized that it was not, as it is not a dictatorship. Congratulations, you killed a 90-year-old man. That doesn't actually topple their whole government. That this process was going to be a lot harder than they thought. So now I think the objectives have changed. I think our objective ultimately was to control the flow of oil to secure the viability of the petrodollar. But now I think we are just trying to get out of there without egg on our face. Like, I think we are fucking embarrassed and we're trying to make it look like a win on the global stage. Because if we don't, Iran and China are the new world superpowers. Point blank. That's it. We don't have a petrodollar anymore. We got a petro yuan, right? Yuan. So I think that's what's going on right now. So it's always kind of about oil, but again, it's oil in that classic Lenin way, right? Where imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. What is imperialism? It's the exportation of finance capital. We don't need the oil necessarily. We have an oil surplus. We have oil production at home. We need the petrodollar because it's essential for our financial markets, our finance capital. We have a series of increasingly bizarre financial products that we offer in an endless scheme to make money magically turn into more money without commodity production in between. And the petrodollar is essential to that scheme. So our interests are purely, truly, classically, as Lenin wrote, imperial in that nature. The petrodollar, more important than the actual oil, if that makes sense. Inshallah, petro yuan. Yeah. All right, so let's get back into this. So until the massive backlog of fuel tankers pass through the narrow Strait of Hormuz that Iran has now promised to stop blocking, and until long-term peace looks probable, pain for farmers will continue, along with the risk of under-fertilized crops, lesser yields, and higher grocery prices worldwide. And again, energy is the driving force behind everything. Capitalism, sure, yes, but also, just the things you need to live a good life. Just transporting food places, having things run. It's all about energy. That is how the world works. The world works on energy. So Asia is especially reliant on Middle East for oil and fertilizer. The Mekong Delta and its 19 million residents are how humiliated is the U.S. right now, according to the chat poll. Giga humiliated. The Mekong Delta and its 19 million residents are not easily disturbed or defeated, but even before the war, climate change was pushing salt water into fields, twisting arms and budgets. The gut punch of an oil shock is added to frustration with an energy source that already felt like tainted treasure. Black gold, once just valuable, now looks cursed. So this is rice harvesting. The war spurred fuel rationing within a week. Vietnam lacks ample reserves, so resource allocation has been zero-sum. One sector ends up pitted against another, creating a dilemma for this one-party communist state. Oh, they're communist now again. Oh, okay. All the American creeps were running there to retire. All the same dudes who fought in the Vietnam War then are running to Vietnam to retire for cheap. They were telling us it actually wasn't a one-party communist state, because the communists can't do anything right. So if all the American old vets wanted to retire there, they must have given up on communism and on capitalism, was the logic. But now, apparently, they're a one-party communist state again, now that they're dealing with oil issues. Just want to throw that in, that little subtle dig. They're like, this one-party communist state is dealing with oil issues nobody else in the world is. It's just because they're communists. They gotta throw that in there. Who wins in a fight for scarce resources? City dwellers, manufacturers, or the Mekong Delta, a pump-irrigated plain that exports 8 million tons of rice, 4 million tons of fruit, and nearly 2 million tons of seafood every year. The Mekong Delta sprawls across Vietnam's southern tip, covering an area larger than the Mississippi Delta. Complex irrigation networks run like capillaries through lands where shrimp are farmed, poultry is raised, and citrus, durian, and rice grow side by side. Everything, including water and fertilizer, has been costlier to move since the start of the war, and no one knows whether the nations negotiating for peace can be trusted to create stability. Well, one of them can. We know that for sure. These leaders, I think maybe they're crazy, said Win Than Tam, 71, a rice farmer with deep family roots in Mekong. I wish we could go back to the old days, he added, when our weather and lives were more stable. Mr. Tom, a soft-spoken man with deep wrinkles from a life in the sun, has started the harvest a few weeks ago feeling good. He expected to earn enough for a new Honda scooter, costing about $800, the first of his life. Now, even after hearing about the ceasefire, he's sticking with his silver bicycle. Because you're so poor. In the communist places, they're so poor. This old man, his only dream is to own a Honda scooter. This is the messaging we're getting from this article. They really want to hammer that home. That everything's, somehow they're still doing just a little, slide in that little anti-communist propaganda there. Nobody in Vietnam can afford a scooter. We just have to actually hear that, I guess. Oh, Virgo's here. Hi, Virgo. Welcome. We have a new ambassador. Oh, were you talking to the other people about Discord? I remain very worried, he said on Wednesday, soon after the ceasefire was announced. Hegel's Big Dialectical says, it's so incredible to realize how cucked the U.S. actually is at war. So much of it is mythology. It's so true. And this is what we talked about the other day. Like, has the USA ever actually won a war? Like, well, define win, Because we get mired down in these massive, massive conflicts, and they're a mess. We're not actually good at it. And one of the things we've talked about is part of the reason why the United States military is a paper tiger is because of the enshittification of everything under capitalism. We have this massive military budget. We have this massive amount of military spending, but look at the way capitalism means that our military-industrial complex has to work necessarily, right? We have a handful of private defense contractors that rake in billions and billions of dollars on U.S. government and military kind of contracts and deals, but it's capitalism, so they don't necessarily have to make a good product. They just have to make a good enough product and then do a lot of networking to get the handshake deal, right? With whatever shitty product they put out there. That's how we end up spending millions of dollars on things like broken helicopters, outdated technology. So even though our military budget is huge, we're overspending on unproductive goods that the shitty system of capitalism plopped out as quickly as possible to maximize profit for like 12 rich dudes. So part of our military's downfall is that. We're starting Tank Tube. Group chat with me and Larry. Yes. We're starting the alternative to YouTube RedTube community. We are starting TankTube over here. We got Ash.
Yes.
So good. I'm very, very excited. We're going to do it. We're making it happen here. We got to get Yugo on TankTube. But Yugo has his own alliances. His own tanky alliances. Out there in the rest of the world. We have North American TankTube so far. Yay. So everybody follow Comrade Ash. Oh, Luna Oi. Oh, yeah, that would be good. That would be interesting. Does Luna Oi stream? We're going to do it over on Twitch, though. We're not going to do it on actual YouTube. I'm already in TankTube? What is TankyTube? What is this? Should I watch it? I'll watch it later, maybe. I copied it. Yeah, we are really bad at war, though. This is true. If we didn't have nuclear weapons, we would not be a superpower. We are bad at war. And one of the other things, too, on top of the paper tiger being the result of our military spending just being shitified by capitalism, another thing is that American soldiers are not fighting for anything, right? When you looked at Vietnam and how badly we got our asses kicked, people fighting for their liberation, for their survival, for their sovereignty are always going to fight differently than people fighting so they can get like a new Ford Focus and like a 0% college loan. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the people fighting for like a new car or like maybe like a good deal on college, maybe a $0 down home loan. That's like different than somebody who's fighting for them and their family's survival, right? And that also goes into why we lose wars. Our soldiers aren't even sure why we're there, right? And as like Comrade Kim Jong-il was teaching us yesterday, ideology is important. But you can't train American soldiers in the American ideology, because if the more you train them in it, the more they are going to necessarily realize this ideology is not beneficial to them, right? So they don't have ideological reasons for fighting. They don't have a lot of self-interest in fighting. Like I said, oh, maybe I can get like a what's the equivalent of a Geo Metro today? A Nissan Sentra? Like, it's not a reason to fight a war, not like your life depends on it. Oh, Scottish election results are coming in. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Cara. Discord is pinned also, yes. They're fighting for Jeffrey Epstein, right? But you can't explain that to them. So you just have to tell them they're fighting for a Nissan Sentra, and they're just not, their heart's not going to be in it. Sorry. You know, it's not going to happen. So, Mr. Tom says that he fears that prices will stay high, especially for fertilizer. A third of the world's supply comes from the Middle East, and global prices for urea, a common fertilizer for rice, are up more than 70% since January. Wow. This is probably something that's going to affect us in California, too. The Central Valley, where I'm from, grows 40% of the United States food supply. So the farm supply store owned by Mr. Mintam is usually crammed full of the stuff. He's got rooms for 100 tons. In late March, he had only 4. Empty pallets gathered dust on his concrete floor near a pink rice cooker with a mouse's face. That's a cute touch. I'd be certain to lose money if I stockpile fertilizer now, he said. Farmers are all complaining about how expensive it is. Inactivity is an aberration in Vietnam. 50 years after a brutal war, followed by a grinding famine, the country moves with more throttle than brake. When the COVID pandemic hit, farmers bought drones for seeding to reduce clustering by seasonal workers. Cool. But studies of agricultural economics have shown that uncertainty freezes enterprise. Not even the Mekong is immune. On a recent afternoon near the Kai Bay Market, 60 miles from Ho Chi Minh City, where traders usually clog traffic moving rice to highways and ports, men with thick shoulders sat still on red plastic chairs. In one warehouse, a laborer swung on an army green hammock between walls of premium rice stacked to the ceiling. Normally, we'd be racing against time, loading sacks of rice onto trucks to fill orders, said Fan Van Swang, 56. But now there are no orders. I want a hammock very, very bad. Off topic. I want one so bad. A rice processing machine was shut down between operating cycles to save energy. Around 90% of the rice Vietnam ships, mostly to the Philippines, but also to Africa and the United States, comes from the Mekong, normally. In today's abnormal times, buyers are hesitating. Shipping delays of 10 to 15 days have become common as carriers slow steam to conserve fuel. Basmati rice from India bound for the Middle East has been unable to get through the Strait of Hormuz. In the Philippines, wholesalers are not sure where there might be enough diesel to move imports around the country. This means rice has been piling up across Asia, creating a short-term paradox. Wholesale prices declining as production costs rise. After a year of healthy harvest, traders are paying farmers less right now to hedge against future risk. And I think there's something interesting we can add in here, right? Which is that central planning, we know that central planning stops issues like this from happening. However, we must exist within the global world with a number of countries that are not yet ready to have their own worker revolutions, right? So think about, though, just imagine you live in a world where everybody has had a worker revolution. These kinds of issues would be non-issues. We wouldn't have to deal with any of this. And these kinds of inefficiencies of the market are inherent to capitalism. This is the anarchy of the market that capitalism creates on a global scale that nobody can escape globally when dealing with international trade-related issues. So I just think that's something important to think about and really ponder on. Many, many, many years down the road, what would it mean to have a fully planned global economy, and think about how it would alleviate issues like this, right? I think that's important to remember, but not prioritize for obvious reasons. So if this tamps down inflation, it may not be for long. According to food economy experts who expect sharper price hikes for crops like vegetables that are harder to stockpile. Complex systems have a habit of creating wicked problems, said Paul Tang Piang Song, a senior fellow in food security at Singapore's ISEAS, Yusof Ishak Institute. Socialism with open markets. Yeah, and it might be the conditions that are necessary in some places, especially if they were particularly agrarian or feudal before their revolution. But engaging in a market system does open you up to these vulnerabilities, and it's a trade-off. And that's what Deng acknowledged would be a part of the trade-off when they decided to do more market liberalization. He even said this could go either way, and it's up to us to try to be ideologically strong so it doesn't go this way. But we see the market for all it can do to alleviate some of your short-term stresses. Participating in the market is always going to be a gamble, and is always going to be less efficient than a planned system. And, I think that's why we see, for example, in the DPRK, what do? They have a free market zone for specific things that they trade with China. In Cuba, they have a free market kind of zone. In every area, 20% of their kind of business in total is private enterprise, as they call it. Right? So it's something that a lot of places feel that they need to really, really tightly control. On the flip side, we saw Yugoslavia went full market socialism. I mean, it had a lot to do with their conditions of being shut out from trade with the USSR when the USSR put a blockade against them, and then they turned more to the West. So the conditions everywhere are unique, and I certainly am not here to talk shit on Vietnam's revolution in any capacity, but I will say these are the complications that the market system brings. Yes, I agree with that. Especially when the market is even remotely in your direct control. Exactly. Like oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Exactly. Posture check. All right, back on this. Even if a lasting peace emerges, he added, the consequences of America's last military adventure will likely linger for agriculture. Latest military adventure. I was like, last? That's optimistic. Oh, latest. I misread it. In Vietnam, where the soil still holds unexploded American bombs from more than 50 years ago, anger has been firing in many directions. Win Tan Khan sells diesel at a floating gas station on a major waterway. Okay, new life goal unlocked. I didn't know this was an option. This is doing something for me. I will not colonize Vietnam. I will not colonize Vietnam. This looks like an appealing life to me, though. So his tanks can hold around 100,000 liters, about 26,400 gallons. But since the war started, his distributor will only give him a few thousand at a time. When he ran out on a recent weekend, barge captains were furious. They accused me of holding on to fuel, waiting for prices to go up, he said, and I had to show them the tanks. He swung open a hatch, revealing a mostly empty space. I'm selling everything I have, he said. It's not just about high prices. I don't have enough. Okay. So, let's talk about this. What do we think here? So one of the things that by any means necessary said is, this is happening to us, this is going to happen to you soon. And I'm inclined to agree with that. The price of oil is not just the things we think about, like putting gas in our car. Though here in California, gas is very, very expensive. It's some places it's around $8 a gallon right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I live in a little privileged bubble. I walk everywhere in my neighborhood. My car's a hybrid. I fill it up with gas once every 3 months or so. So it hasn't really hit me yet. And I feel very, very fortunate. But my partner, for example, has to commute an hour and a half to work every single day. So they're feeling it. And that's in a hybrid car. They're still paying a massive amount of money for gas. By any means necessary says, we have price controls on staple crops like rice, so Vietnam will not have food shortages regardless of the war. The nations that depend on exports will face massive price shocks and shortages. In nations where capital controls your access to food, people in those nations will starve. I think this is a really, really, really good point. Because like we were saying, like, Vietnam can control what happens in Vietnam's borders, but Vietnam can't control the chaos of the market outside of their borders, right? So as by any means necessary is saying, we're going to have rice because our government's going to make sure we have rice, right? But you guys who rely on buying rice from us, I don't know what's going to happen to you. And that I think is a really interesting point, right? 90 minutes each way to the airport, yeah. So it's not just going to be gas that hits us, though. It is going to be things like food production. As I mentioned, the place that I'm from in the Central Valley of California, we produce 40% of the United States total food, right? And that food production comes with oil. It comes with oil. And we're out here in California. So I think that that's something important to remember. And it's more than just oil. It's everything. So in my job, we design clothing. We design and sell clothing and accessories. That's my job, right? Well, part of that is shipping. Shipping, because the United States no longer has an industrial manufacturing sector. Where do we go to get our things made? Of course we go to China. They're the world's industrial manufacturing sector. Okay, well, part of that expense now is shipping the goods from China when they're done to us here. That's a huge, massive cost. Guess what? Shipping is already getting more expensive. It's going to get a lot more expensive. So what are we going to end up doing? Well, we're going to end up opting for probably to boat ship it, right? Rather than to air freight it, because boats are cheaper. Boats also take like 3 months rather than 2 weeks. So that means that our product turn is going to be slowed. Okay, our product turn is going to be slow. That means less sales. That means more layoffs, right? These are the kind of issues that are going to start to hit the American economy very, very soon. And everywhere. No industry is going to be exempt from us. There's not an industry anywhere in the world that does not rely on some capacity on fuel, unless it is a digital online service you are providing. And even then, who knows, right? Because your customers probably, that's not how they make money, so their jobs are going to be impacted. So I foresee this being a massive issue. So this is just a huge blunder. The United States, eager to secure our global supremacy, eager to make America great again, right? This is something we entered into kind of foolishly. And say what you will about the Democrats, who are obviously just as evil, wanted to go to war with Iran just as badly. The Democrats, at least strategically, understood it would be a bad idea right now, right? They wanted to do it. They were waiting for the moment to go to war with Iran. But the analysts they had there were like, oh, we're not going to win this. And that's why they haven't. Right? Even Republican analysts were like, we're not going to win this. And Donald Trump was like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. So, very, very fascinating kind of situation. It took China a decade to be an industrial hub, by the way. We thought we could do it in one term. Yeah. I mean, I think that's really... And we also did not seriously invest in any planned way to build ourselves up into an industrial manufacturing powerhouse. Like, I work at apparel, I'm going to tell you, we don't have the machines you need to make certain clothes in the United States. They don't exist here. So in order for us to start doing massive apparel manufacturing in the United States, we would literally first need to build a company here in the United States that domestically manufactures the types of machines you need to do, I don't know, like sit-in sleeve knit stitching, right? Things like this, like knit-in sweater pattern. Like, you'd have to first build those machines. Like, this is a process that would take so long. Take longer for us to reindustrialize. And also, you have to actually come up with a plan for it, and we don't have that. So, the globalization situation, it's inevitable. Globalization is inevitable at this juncture, and it also makes sense because certain areas geographically have access to certain resources other people don't, right? So then the question is, how do you effectively manage globalization? And the only system capable of effectively managing globalization is essentially planned economy, essentially planned global economy, and we're not there yet for a long time. So we're going to keep seeing shit like this happening, basically, which I think is going to be interesting. Mel May redeemed emote only 2 minutes for now. Great. California, we've been out of water. That's a whole thing too, honestly. Also very political. And the politics of California water also go back to settler colonization. The reason we have water issues is because we were so eager to put white people in California and really manifest destiny across the whole West, across the dry plains of the West, that we did slipshod, half-assed agricultural irrigation projects that don't fully make sense and don't work well. And then we moved and transported a bunch of people by giving them free farmland. That was the allure, in areas that are basically unfarmable, and the setting up jerry-rigged, half-assed irrigation systems to try to make them hobble along as though they might be kind of farmable. And that obviously doesn't apply to California's Central Valley, but it's how we moved people from the East Coast to the West Coast to occupy land as settler colonizers across the United States. So that kind of, we see that in Israel too. The politics of farming is in a settler colonization-like system, come along with poor water management and all of this shit as well. Yeah. So there's something to note as well. Okay, you're freed. Now, do you guys have any other little things you want to look at before we get into the map? It's 10:55 a.m. for me. I have an hour and 5 minutes before my hard out. We can get into the map, or if there's anything else you guys feel is particularly pressing to talk about, we could. Otherwise, I might take a second to look at the fucking California DSA voter guide. Oh, Spirit Airlines we could talk about. Oh, Carr gives us an update on the UK elections. I love this. Let's take a look at this.
So the local elections are happening this Thursday,
I was
May
not prepared
7th.
for the
Reform
voice.
UK see these as a warm-up for the next
I love
general
it.
election, which I guess explains why they've picked the brightest and the best to stand for office. People like Andy Marn standing in Blackburn, seen here playing Clint Eastwood in the remake of The Good, the Bad and the Bright Red Bigot. Because according to Andy's Facebook posts, Oswald Mosley, the founder of the British Union of Fascists, was 100% right. Linda McFarlane, standing in Gateshead, said we should just let channel migrants drown and that Parliament should be made up of white English people, which would sadly discount After Sun Andy. But then there's Kate Michaela, pictured here growling, who's standing in West Sussex and said that every Muslim should be deported by 2030. Lovely stuff.
Woo!
And at the risk of sounding like a bad Hinge profile, Howard Dinney, standing in Hillingdon, is a proud Islamophobe who says we should shoot as many Muslims as possible. Yes, he's still standing. Nathaniel Mendy, standing in Sheffield, posted a picture of Berlin's Nazi-era Olympic Stadium, saying which group of visionaries built this. Oh, we might have a match, you two. One of those more recent visionaries is a man called David Booth, who's standing in Croydon and said that COVID-19 was faked by powerful people wanting to control the population. I'm sure that adult social care will be safe in his hands. And if you're concerned about potholes in your local area, then Glenn Gibbons, who's standing for Reform UK in Sunderland, thinks we should melt Nigerians down to fill them in. What more can you expect from the best vetting in the country? Now, in case you're wondering what happened to Reform UK's councillors elected in last year's local elections, the answer is over 10% of them have either been expelled, defected, resigned, or in the case of Daniel Taylor from Kent, who threatened to put his wife in the boot and set fire to the car, have been put in prison. And that's just over the last 12 months. Think how much we've got to look forward to. So with councils deciding spending for crucial public services like child and adult social care, safe housing for victims of abuse and kids with special educational needs, maybe we should try and elect councillors who actually care about other people rather than self-proclaimed fascists with a love for setting fire to their wives. So the local election...
This is wild. So Trans Fox Girl, hi, welcome back. We were looking for you yesterday, day before yesterday, we were talking about Congo stuff. We were thinking about your comment. But yes, TLDR, the far-right party in the UK, the Reform Party, massively overperformed expectations, and it's bad. This is wild. The UK is somehow trying, in a contest, to get more dystopian than the USA. Protein gains. Why are you people shocked that England, historically the worst colonizers, are super racist? I think here's why I'm shocked. Because I'm an American. And Americans love racism. We love white supremacy. We invented the terms black and white after Bacon's Rebellion. That's how much we love racism, right? We were like, racism, we will bring you chattel slavery. Why? Yeah, we love racism. We do racism. That's what we do here. And these guys are sounding really fucking racist by my ear. And that's why I'm like, oh shit, our dudes would try to code it a little better or something. They wouldn't even go this mask off. So that's why I'm a little surprised. As an American, when an American tells you like, oh shit, you sound real racist right now, I think maybe it should come with a little. I think it should come with a little more, you know what I mean? We're on our Nuke England shit. MEB sent us another one. Let's check out this one. The Reform Party's extremely popular. It's like your MAGA. It's your MAGA. What are we watching? I need context. I only speak English. The UK Heritage Foundation, that makes sense. I do love that you just had this on your clipboard, though. I love that. I love that. This is what you're watching. You're like, nope, wrong link. Okay. This, it's literally funded by the Heritage Foundation. Malrich says, okay, it literally is England's MAGA. Wow, man. That's wild. That's some wild shit. Yeah, we're the evil empire, not just cucked. Yep, you're part of it. You are part of it. You're doing it. It's almost like all the right-wing extremist groups are proof that liberalism is a failed ideology or something. Who knew? Who knew? Heritage Foundation, do they fund Yeonmi Park? They fund other... I know they fund other anti-DPRK stuff, but yes. Okay, so Godric86, thank you guys for teaching me about England. I love learning about England. As you know, I'm not English by descent. French is my heritage. So I'm not the one who can tell you to nuke England, because then I would be speaking over English voices. But that's why we have so many English people in the chat who are proposing we do. And I'm listening and learning from our English comrades. So, you know. Okay, so this is from the Reform Party UK's website. Britain has the richest history of any country in the world, but our best days lie ahead. Britain has not declined because of its people. It's declined because of weak leadership. Explore our policies. What are their policies? I do not want to read the manifesto for Scotland. That's quite... Stop the boats. Oh my god. That's like your build the wall. You guys have stopped the boats. You're 10% English. Yes, that counts. You can speak for all of them. You can speak for all of them. Yes, Transfox Girl, we have a group of British people here who we don't speak over, who are telling us that we need to nuke England. So, Melway, that counts. And they are telling us, and we're listening, and we're learning, and we're not speaking over them. So if they say it, 2 of them are also trans. Yeah, so we're listening to trans English voices, which is important to do for our people. More. The nuke England contingency is growing. Yeah, we're listening and learning. Yes, the poly solo hijabi meme. That's us for England. We stand with you. I'm an ally. I'm a hashtag ally for England. For the English. Yes. 25% English. See? You're English. Reformers so hilariously evil. They said they would open deportation camps in areas for Greens? In areas that voted for Greens? What? They want to deport the Green Party? Wow. As an English envy, get rid of Turf Island. I'm going to commit genocide on the English. Well, might make me more popular. Might make me more popular. Okay, I gotta deal with that later. Okay, so let's get into this. The UK stole 25 million years of life and labor through slavery in Barbados, says reports. Hold on, let me text back this portion really fast. Just a sec, screensaver. Does this show you the, no. Something weird's happening in my OBS. Did it update again? You have to hit this, like, transition thing now. Ugh, that's so annoying. I don't like that. I don't like that. Just a sec. Okay, cool. All right. I have no idea. I have no idea why. They've got this now. Look, it's like this button thing I have to do. Like, what happens if I... Okay, so now this is just me. Oh, this is so fucking annoying. New OBS update. This is why. Now you can, like, transition. You can, like, fade in and out. Ugh, I don't like it. I do not like it. Blah. Ugh. Okay, whatever. I'll figure it out. So we actually do need to go back to this. All right. So, Britain stole 25 million years of life and labor through slavery in Barbados. According to research done by a team of international experts, the report concluded that Barbados' population of African descent have suffered damages estimated at up to $2 trillion from 200 years of chattel slavery. Wow. The head of the research team, Coleman Bazelon, said the total reflected the magnitude of the damage done, but he emphasized that the figure was not a bill for damages, but the factual foundation for dialogue. This research is not creating an invoice for anybody to pay. Of course not. Say Bazelon, it's an accounting for the harm that was done. This is like peak liberalism. $2 trillion of damages occurred to the Barbados population of African descent. Don't worry. Nobody's going to pay it back, though. We're just going to account that harm was done. What? 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 Okay. Love liberalism. Barbados was the first major British colony to force enslaved people to work on its plantations from the early 1600s. It's also a founding nation of the Caribbean community, which advocates for reparations. Bazelon was the lead co-author of the 2023 Brattle analysis, which is included in the report on reparations for transatlantic chattel slavery and the Americans in the Caribbean. The analysis estimated that chattel slavery affected nearly 20 million people, including those who were captured, those who lost their lives while being transported from Africa, and those who worked on plantations and their descendants. After Britain abolished slavery on August 1st, 1834, 20 million pounds, I'm not British, I'm so sorry, was paid in compensation to enslavers for loss of their property. The enslaved people themselves received nothing. It's absolutely bonkers. This is the same thing with, like, Haiti having to pay France and shit for their independence. Just so fucked. Bazelon says what they asked me to focus on was the value of labor stolen through the slavery in Barbados. Barbados' Minister for Pan-African Affairs and Heritage, Trevor Prescott, said, "You can't erase history. My job is to give Afrocentric redress to the imbalances that occurred during the period of slavery." The minister said, "I feel the public must walk with us in our destination. Many areas of progress that were denied will be at the heart of our call and claims for reparations and reparatory justice." Okay, wild. Wild. Ops. England, France, thank you for censoring it, Spain, Belgium. Yes, and Haiti was still paying it well into the 2000s. It's so crazy. It's so absolutely bonkers. Bye, Lady Frags. Okay, so we've got one TikTok from Joseph Her Watch, and then we'll jump into the map. Are you guys ready for map? Are you ready to live out your neurodivergent
Norman
dreams?
Mamdani is standing against another working class struggle. Behind me are the home aid workers who have just gone on hunger strike to
They're
fight
Maoists,
back against the
but we'll
brutal
forgive it.
conditions they have to work in and the 24-hour shifts they're forced to take. And in classic bourgeois politician manner, Zoran Mamdani, Kathy Hochul, and Speaker Menon are all collaborating to make sure that the capitalist pockets stay padded and these workers stay exploited. We're here to talk to them about why they're fighting back.
因為呢個24小時工作日，全世界都冇嘅，係我紐約要，紐約呢係美國嘅一部分嘅照，其他照都冇。咁樣呢個勞動法，我哋係傷害我哋嘅身體，為家庭啊，為乜啲傷害好大嘅。因為我做過呢個病人呢，要扶個落個輪椅，要扶佢上床，要扶佢馬桶，扶佢食飯啊，乜都係用啲護理嘅力量嚟照顧佢嘅，佢自己唔喐得，唔行得，好辛苦嘅。
Estoy aquí para apoyar la huelga de hambre, para que se acaben las 24 horas, porque estamos enfermas y cansadas y ya no podemos más. Y el alcalde nos prometió quitarla y estamos en espera de él.
Zoran not only went back on his promise to pass the No More 24 bill, which he championed on his campaign, but after being pressured by the Legal Aid Society, a notoriously anti-worker NGO, and the reactionary union leadership of DC 37, blocked the passage of the bill and tried to change the law to make it a choice to work 24 hours. Now, leaving aside the fact that no one would willingly work 24 hours, we all know this just means that if you don't choose to work that time, the companies won't let you work at all. So not only do the workers have to work these abhorrent hours, but the companies pay them less than minimum wage for it. Zoran is protecting these companies and helping them rob the homemade workers blind. The companies say they can't pay for the full wages as it's too costly, but that's a laughable excuse coming from billionaire health and insurance company execs.
佢都反對我哋咧，都唔同意啦，咁耐都唔出嚟啦，係靠我哋咧去嚟節食，啲護理嚟強對呢個勞工法。
The workers have chosen to hunger strike because they saw Zoran drop his support to suit his and the rest of the bourgeoisie's interests. In these conditions, the only answer is to fight back and not rely on the hollow promises of another politician.
佢都唔支持我哋啦，咁要佢點樣嚟咩嘛？佢因為呢個政策係唔啱嘅，我呢護理做過24小時咁多時間，傷害咁大，咁佢都未同意我哋梗係利用呢啲方法嚟節食，啱佢出嚟向我哋講句話啦。
Mis hijas son cuidadoras, pero no quiero que trabajen las 24 horas. Y es por eso que quiero que eso se termine. Porque cuando uno se ve en necesidad de pagar la renta y cosas, uno lo coge, aunque la vida se destruye.
Now, after a full week, the hunger strike has paused, as Speaker Julie Menon has claimed that she will introduce the bill to a vote. However, the workers will resume their hunger strike on May 15th if their demands aren't met. But even if this gets passed, Zoran and other supposedly progressive politicians have made the side they stand on clear. Zoran stands with the healthcare and insurance capitalists who want to degrade the living conditions of the working class. He has tried to silence the struggle, even going so far as to send cops over to the hunger strike encampment outside City Hall twice to shut it down. Zoran and all the capitalists he slavishly serves are terrified of a struggle like this because they know it shows every worker across the country and the world that we don't need to beg for the scraps the ruling class may feel kind enough to give us, but that we, the workers, can take them and much more by ourselves.
I liked this update. I also liked one of you commenting on my TikTok and it said hi stream. Yeah, that's the thing. It's ultimately, you voted for a Democrat. Don't be surprised when you're a Democrat, right? That's the limitations of social democracy. So, it's the DSA is so dangerous. Should we use that to segue into the DSA California voter guide really fast and then we'll get into the map? All the Burger Reich notifications popping up. Wild. Map. Can I have a little bit as a treat of the California DSA voter guide? Now, I want to say some areas of California have endorsed our Marxist candidates. I believe. I think there are some smaller, not like California as a state, but like smaller regional pockets who have endorsed some of our candidates. So they're very decentralized, the DSA. They're a decentralized group of people. So that affects it. So this is just California. A treat for me, torture for Virgo. Yes. So, I mean, I feel like it is almost like a parody of itself. The California governor candidate that the DSA is endorsing is Tom Steyer, a billionaire who made his money investing in Core Civic, which is the largest for-profit private prison institution in California and in the country that currently does contracts with ICE. That is how he became rich. And he is running for governor of California as a Democrat, and that is who they are endorsing, which is crazy. Keep in mind, the DSA had the opportunity to endorse our Marxist-Leninist candidate, whose platform, who takes no money from corporations or any lobbying group, who is literally advocating for taxing billionaires as well. And that's the reason they're like, well, he wants to tax the billionaires. Our guy wants to do that too. Okay, he wants to ban corporate lobbying and political interference. He wants to declare a housing emergency and immediately make it so if you own more than 10 properties, you have to sell them all, which would flood the California housing market with affordable housing. He wants to put an end on evictions and foreclosures, and he wants to designate 1.4 million units of truly affordable public housing that like actually is public housing. We have fake public housing here. He wants to implement free universal health care for all Californians with no fees, no premiums, no deductibles, cover everyone for everything, dental, vision, mental health, gender affirming care, reproductive care, and elder care, abolish medical debt and make medical debt illegal, and build free high quality public senior housing with nursing care. Fund full cradle to grave education, right? Everything free, college free, childcare free, all of it. Full rights for immigration, or for immigrants. Abolish private utilities, build a statewide public energy system, make all public transit free, get our high-speed rail project built, and guarantee free renewable energy for every household. Guaranteed union jobs, a living wage for all, $30 an hour minimum wage, union jobs, guaranteed right to work for every single Californian, 0% unemployment, end the war on Black America, full reparations for slavery taken from the billionaire class, full equality for women, for LGBT people, equal pay parental leave, job protection for all workers, guarantee full health care, etc., and divest California from Israel. So this is who the DSA could have endorsed in California for governor. And instead they are endorsing this billionaire. This is from Fresno B. This is my hometown. Who managed $90 million stake in a firm now running a California ICE facility, Core Civic. They downplayed, actually. The largest for-profit private prison system. And he didn't just manage it. He started an investment firm, and that was his largest company, and the investment firm made him money. So this is how he became a billionaire. So yeah, we look at that video of Zoran, DSA guy. We look at California DSA, okay? And the thing is, I think that the Marxist-Leninists in California would love to build coalition with the DSA. Just like Engels and Marx wrote. Oh, thank you. We made it 10 out of 10. Thank you. Just like we wrote, if we have shared interests, we'll work with you. We'll work with anybody. The Marxist-Leninists in California are very into coalition building. We work with labor unions, some of whom have actually reactionary ideas, but we work with them on labor things. We work with, there's Maoist groups we work with, there's Trotskyist groups we work with. We're trying to build coalition out here. We would work with the DSA. And again, to the DSA's credit, many areas of the more smaller branches do work with us. But it is a little, like, of course, when you see this, when you see that they're endorsing Tom Steyer instead of Ramsey Robinson for governor, very disappointing, but not surprising. Yes, exactly. And I don't say that as a representative of the Vote Socialist campaign, because again, I know many smaller areas of the DSA did endorse Vote Socialist candidates, or the Marxist-Leninist candidates, and I appreciate them for that. So I'm not trying to start beef, especially with the people who did, right? And I think that's very, very cool. Those of whom who did, thank you for that. It's a shame that at the state level, they didn't get on board with that. They'd rather endorse a billionaire than a Marxist-Leninist candidate. And I think I'm allowed to feel a certain way about that. Now we're going to stop telling you what I think. Lieutenant Governor Oliver Ma, running as a Democrat. I know people like Oliver Ma. He seems pretty progressive. We also have a Marxist Lieutenant Governor candidate running, Alice Steck. Okay, that's fine. That is DSA's first ever endorsed statewide candidate, Oliver Ma. That's fine. Okay, whatever. Oliver Ma is not super bad from anything I've seen. Attorney General, no recommendation. That's wild, because the Left Unity slate is running an Attorney General. Let me go to Megan's Instagram, because I was just thinking about planning something. Yeah, why would they've got Marjorie fucking Mickles. Why wouldn't they endorse Marjorie Mickles for Attorney General? I don't understand. Marjorie Mickles is running for Attorney General, and she's great. She's Green Party, and she's endorsed by us as part of the Left Unity slate. I would endorse I'm going to vote for Marjorie Mickles. And she's not Peace and Freedom, but she's a green socialist. She's an eco-socialist. Yeah, I love Marjorie. She's great. She's got a law degree from UCLA. It's not like she's some kookball. There's no reason not to endorse Marjorie. She's an attorney. She's a very serious candidate that you could endorse. Why are they only endorsing Democrats? I don't understand this. I mean, I do. But, that's crazy. So they're talking about getting Butch Ware kicked off the ballot, which is a problem. I'm not a Butch Ware person. You guys know my feelings. But Butch Ware should have had access to the ballot, and it's crazy that they didn't, but they're still not recommending it. Okay. Treasurer. Also, again, why are you not recommending Glenn Turner for treasurer? Glenn Turner. I feel like everybody in California who does activism knows Glenn Turner. Not you. No, get out of here. Not you, weird man. This Glenn. She's out at stuff all the time, right? And she's got a great platform that the DSA should endorse and agree with. She's a lifelong activist. She's been out here. Everybody's known her. She's worked along Climate Emergency Mobilization Task Force, Family Advocate for the Seriously Mentally Ill, Berkeley Cop Watch, Public Bank of the East Bay. I don't come from corporate boardrooms. I come from grassroots. She does. She's a grassroots organizer. Most people know. Yes, Virgo, we can talk about that. If Ramsey were elected, if he could actually make the changes he wanted to and what that would mean. Yes, we can do that. The fundamental issue Mallory says with the DSA is they aren't interested in educating membership. The vast majority of membership, especially in cities, are just liberals that want to postures further left than the Democrats and do not understand the fundamental differences between liberals and leftists. When rubber meets the road, the membership will vote for endorsements along the same criteria as team members will. I see. And with some of the people in our chat, you are in like Marxist caucuses in the DSA because that's just who's out there where you are, right? Is that correct? Controller, here we go. Her, Malia. Look at this. Her only two opponents are Herb Morgan, a Republican CEO, and Megan Adams, a union leader that is running on the Peace and Freedom Party ballot line. Cohen will cruise to re-election. No candidate in this race is notable enough to earn our recommendation. Are you kidding? Megan Adams, who's a union president who just helped organize one of the most successful strikes in modern history for the San Francisco's teachers? Like, what? That's so wild. It's so wild. Not notable? What does that mean? Not notable. That's crazy. Superintendent of Public Instruction, Nichelle Henderson. Again, you have Frank Lara running. Frank Lara, who was one of the main organizers of the teacher strike that just won. And the teacher strike in San Francisco under Frank Lara won not only increased wages and better protections for all education workers in San Francisco, also for their students. They won temporary housing for students in crisis, paid for by the city. Amazing, an amazing win. But no, you're not going to recommend Frank Lara. Okay. Insurance Commissioner Jane Kim from the Democrats' Working Families Party, not Lalo Vargas, who wants to abolish private insurance companies, who's pulling neck and neck with Democrats. Lalo Vargas would be the easiest one to add on here. He's pulling neck and neck with the Democrats. No. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. No, so Nithi Raman is not a Peace and Freedom Party. She's running as a Democrat. That's the canvasser that I almost Uno reverse canvassed was a Nithi candidate. So I have to look at, because I still haven't got my ballot yet. I think I got to my neighbor's house, but she's been out of town because I got hers, so I have to try to swap them around. So I'm going to see if there's anybody better than Nithi for me, but not notable. Absolutely crazy. So very, very disappointing from the California DSA. Again, not disappointed in the local branches who did decide to endorse the Peace and Freedom Party candidates. Very happy that they did that. That's very, very great of them. And just very, very, just like you see their priorities in that. You're like, well, you don't want what we want, I guess. Why would you not endorse us if you don't have candidates running? Like, we have this with the Green Party. We're not the same as Green Party. We're different than Green Party, right? But that doesn't stop us from endorsing each other's candidates. Yes, Jane Kim is the one the Democrats added after they were worried about the Peace and Freedom candidate. Yep. Okay, so Virgo asked a question, and we'll talk about this. I still have this. Hold on. Okay. So Virgo asked a question: how much could Ramsey realistically do if elected? And I think that's interesting to talk about. What capacity? Because this ties into Lenin's "Should we participate in bourgeois parliaments? Left and communism and infantile disorder," which we have read together on stream before. If you are not here for that stream, you can find it in Theory Thursday, exported for free on YouTube. So, what is the point in participating in bourgeois elections? How much could these candidates actually do in a bourgeois democratic system? How much could they not do, and what's the utility and why? So the first question is, are these candidates actually running to win? The Lenin model of electoral engagement says we know that electoralism is politically obsolete, but we know the masses do not know that electoralism is politically obsolete, so we meet the masses where they are. And I agree. Since volunteering on those campaigns, I've been able to talk to so many more normal people about socialism. They're very receptive to it. It's great. We're just trying to keep us from doing the math. So true. Trying to get me yapping instead of mapping. Okay, so, obviously, we don't think you can vote your way out of capitalism. We don't think they're going to let you. So why are we running these elections? We're running to teach people about socialism. Now, teaching people about socialism works two ways. First of all, it's literally just explaining to people what socialism and communism is, what a socialist platform is, what an actual communist platform is, the things that we want to do for you. And, explaining to you that these things we cannot accomplish under our current system. Our current system won't let us. So if you want these things, we need to change our system. That's goal one. Goal two is that whatever we can change in our current system, we certainly will. Why? Do we think that reform is going to save everybody? No. And even Lenin talked about this. It's not like we're going to be opposed to reform for the sake of reform. We just know that's not the battle, right? That's not the battle. The battle is dismantling the system and building a new system. Why wouldn't we want to help people if we can in the interim, though? And that was kind of Lenin's point. Like, we're not going to oppose reforms that help people. That's just stupid and crazy and evil. So whatever reforms we could pass, if we won, that could help people, fine, fucking do it. All you're going to do is show people more and more who's really on their side. When they look at a state, California, that's been under the control of the Democratic Party for decades, and they're like, well, wait a minute, this Marxist, Ramsey Robinson, gave me free health care. The Democrats never did. All of a sudden, you're going to start to rethink everything you thought you knew about the communists and how evil they are, right? You're going to be like, well, I know communists. We've got communists in my state. And the communists gave us free houses and free health care. So I kind of fuck with the communists and what they're about. And this is exactly the approach the Black Panther Party took as well. They showed what they were about to their communities. So I think that's what's important to remember, right? I think that, do you say, yeah, no, I don't know. So, I think that's just what's important to note. We lose nothing by participating in elections. And as Lenin noted, actually, they help illuminate to the masses more quickly the shortcomings and failures and obsolete nature of the current electoral system, right? So I think that's the goal. Lenin was right. Lenin was right. All right, so let's get into the map. Are you guys ready to do the map today? Long story short, Lenin was right. We're doing it. And long story short, Engels was right in Principles of Communism when he was like, we'll work with these people until they throw us under the bus. You can handle the map. Okay. So let's create our map here. Let's log in. Load the map. I feel like our conversation yesterday about Central African Republic was very illuminating for me. Now, do we want to do a complicated one and do South Sudan? Or do we want to do something, Angola is a little complicated too. What are we thinking here, chat? What are we thinking? Oh, we forgot about Matt. He said he was going to go. Yeah, he went away. South Sudan. Okay. So we already did regular Sudan. We decided it's very politically divided right now, right? They have some internal issues that mean that they're not really able to engage on the global stage in a meaningful or impactful way that we can draw evidence or data from. Oh no, why are you that color? No, I hate that color. Get rid of that color. We felt the same way about Libya. We felt the same way about Iraq. We felt that same way about Lebanon because Lebanon obviously has groups fighting the good fight who are not even defiant. They are the resistance, but it's not the whole of Lebanon, right? Somalia, we did the same because Somaliland is not indicated on here, so we marked them as divided as well. Creation and distribution of anti-Virgo propaganda. Oh, wait, what is it, Amanda Ops? Oh, somebody told me that recently. It happened at the same time that I tried to do these, and I tried to figure out how to fix it, and I couldn't figure it out. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But in the meantime, they're up for free on YouTube. So you can watch them on YouTube, and I have to figure out how to fix that. I tried to figure it out yesterday a little bit, and I couldn't. I also thought I figured out the goals to update. Are the goals updating with actual goals on them for you guys, or no? Or does it say like 100 at the end? I can't see. I have to fix it. We're back on bisexual now. Definitely. It says 100. See? I tried to fucking fix it. Okay, whatever. Thank you, Amanda Ops. For anybody in the meantime, go, they're over on YouTube for free. I'm sorry. I'm going to figure it out. Annoying. Okay. Oh, I love that. Me and Karl Marx. So cute. So cute. Poland. Right. Well, we have some questions about Poland's agency and their evil ways. And you know what? The other day, unprompted, my partner texted me and was like, did you see that thing about the guy from the Polish parliament unveiling an Israel flag, but it just had a swastika on it? And I was like, wow. No, I didn't. What does this mean? It says 314 out of 100. See? I don't know. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into South Sudan. Does anybody, first of all, I'm going to pull up the hyper-imperialism text that has been very useful as a starting off point for us. Does anybody else have any reading material they would like to do regarding the situation in South Sudan? Because part of what's nice about this is, oh, you're feeling very happy with California since one of the bond funds in the state helped you get a client of yours released. Yay! I love that. A lot of the Polish government is anti-Israel in the Marjorie Taylor Greene way. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why they're Poland derogatory. We know it's bad, but the type of bad is sometimes perplexing. You know? I don't know. Very, very interesting. So anybody have anything they would like to use for us to read about South Sudan? Otherwise, I'll do a little Googling because I think it is fun when we get into the deep dives of everything. We know, obviously, they're in crisis. We know. Shit's happening in Sudan. We've got the little info going on here. I'm like, what are they saying here? Itching to know more about South Sudan. Okay, let's, Danny DeVito is fighting with Virgo in our chat. Okay, thank you. Heater is here. Yes, and I've got some stuff pulled up too. All right. Cut. Yeah, see, that's how we switch now. I've got it figured out. So this is a summary of what's going on. This should be a pretty simplified summary for what's happening here that we'll look at. So South Sudan is at serious risk of returning to widespread armed conflict amid escalating political tensions, persistent localized violence, and this is from March, right? and the continued failure to fully implement the 2018 peace agreement. Since early 2025, tension between President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar, along with their allies and loyalists, have undermined the 2018 power-sharing agreement, which was intended to end the country's 2013 to 2015 civil war and chart a path towards stability. In February 2025, armed opposition groups overran an army base in Nasir, killing more than 20 civilians and displacing thousands. Subsequent retaliatory actions by government forces aligned with President Kiir, the South Sudan's People's Defense Forces, causing an additional civilian casualty and extensive damage to infrastructure. A campaign of arrests targeting leaders aligned with Machar Sudan's People Liberation Army in opposition, SPLAIO, including in his own house arrest, effectively rendered the power-sharing framework inoperative by March 2025 and signaled a collapse of the political settlement. Hostilities and tensions intensified sharply in December 2025, contributing to a broader cycle of violence involving both government and opposition-aligned groups. Do I keep the articles? No, I don't. I'm so sorry. But my thought is once the map is done, every single day, if we think something shifts based on what we've learned in the news, we'll go update the map. So it'll be a living map. You should, yeah, let's gaslight TikTok. You know who follows me on TikTok? Mandy Patinkin. Mandy Patinkin. Secret comrade confirmed. Just putting that out there. Just saying. And the Edison Motors guy in Canada. He's a comrade. Edison Motors guy in Canada confirmed comrade. He's out of it. He's like, yeah, I'm all in. You know that guy? Yeah. Who follows you on TikTok, Virgo? Danny DeVito. California Green Party chapter. Okay. All right. Woo. Mandy Patinkin's an actor. He's an actor. I like him. All right. Okay, hostilities and tensions intensified sharply in December, contributing to a broader cycle of violence, including both government and opposition-aligned armed groups. Attacks targeting Machar and recurrent clashes between his forces, including the loosely organized White Army, composed primarily of Nuer youth, and the SSPDF exacerbated these divisions. Ongoing hate speech and inflammatory rhetoric, including from senior military officials, and localized conflict featuring intermittent fighting and ethnically motivated violence, continue to expose populations to grave human rights violations and abuses. The Mandy Patinkin follows me. Yes, the actual Mandy Patinkin follows me. Yes. Yes. So Lilith, it's kind of like Mandy Patinkin follows you too. From the transitive property of Mandy Patinkin. Yes. I don't think he knows I'm a communist, but I think he likes that I'm not right wing. You know, let's give it to him. Nobody harassed Mandy Patinkin for following me. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So we've had conflict-related violence, sexual and gender-based violence, killings, and other abuses occurring. Since gaining independence in 2011, South Sudan has experienced persistent conflict and atrocities. Malrish, I'll follow you. I'll find it. With successive phases of violence threatening civilians across the country, the civil war between December 2013 and August 2015 caused an estimated 400,000 deaths. Both Sudan's People Liberation Army under President Kiir and the SPLA in opposition, led by Machar, perpetrated widespread atrocities, including extrajudicial killings, torture, child abductions, and sexual violence. Parties to the conflict signed multiple agreements aimed at resolving the crisis between 2015 and 2018, including the 2018 Revitalized Agreement on the Resolution of the Conflict in South Sudan. This established the Transitional Government of National Unity, placing Kiir and Machar in a power-sharing arrangement. The agreement outlined a transitional framework centered on institutional reform and eventual national elections. Repeated delays in implementing the agreement have prolonged political uncertainty and deepened mistrust, particularly in light of President Kiir's unilateral amendments and major political reshuffles. This transitional period has been extended multiple times, with the latest extension postponing the country's first elections to December 2026. Amid increasing violence reduction measures resulting from the UN's financial crisis, have significantly constrained the UN mission in South Sudan's ability to carry out core protection, political human rights, stabilization, and electoral support functions. Production patrols fell by an estimated 30 to 40% in areas with reduced force deployment, and 60 to 70% where bases are closing. Okay, so we gotta figure out who's supporting both of these sides also. That's what we gotta look into. Around 10 million people, more than two-thirds of the population, need humanitarian assistance. An estimated 2.5 million people remain internally displaced, and a little over 2 million people have fled to neighboring countries. At the same time, hundreds of thousands of refugees and returnees have been forced to flee the conflict in neighboring Sudan into South Sudan, straining already limited resources and compounding existing food insecurity. Oh, wait a minute. Yes. This is all about South Sudan. Okay, that's what I thought. Just making sure I wasn't like, wait. Cross-border movements by armed groups on both sides have heightened insecurity, including the disputed IBA border region. In recent months, political contestation and intense military operations, including aerial bombardments and indiscriminate attacks, have significantly increased the greater Upper Nile, Jonglei, and western and eastern Equatoria regions. These developments have caused substantial civilian casualties, the destruction of critical infrastructure, including health facilities, schools, and public buildings, widespread displacement, and the forced separation of families. In Jonglei State, violence has escalated sharply since December. Okay, so the SPLAIO captured Pajut, a town in... Is it really just the SPLA now versus the SPLAIO? Yes, it is. There used to be other groups. But that was back in the Civil War days. See, this is something I haven't stayed updated on since around 2016, so this is good for us too. So we need to know who is funding these, right? Mapping actors and alliances project. It's interesting to me. Let's see if it's backed by the USA. That's 2008. We need like 2025 or greater. No. No. AI. What? Oh. 3 weeks ago, Trump congratulated SPLAIO. Is that real? What's the fake social media network he's on? Truth Social. Is this real? Did this guy do this? Is he back on Twitter also? Oh my god, how do we... What a horrible website. How do I search his tweets? Let me search your tweets! Oh my god, do I have to make an account? I can't do that. Huh. Paul Mator Maniac. Oh. No. Nothing about it. We're gonna get there. Not allowed. Okay. That's how they get ya. You want to see the crazy shit that the president's saying. That's how they get ya. All right. So we've got the SPLA and the SPLAIO are the only two warring factions currently in South Sudan. So that's kind of what's going on right now, and things are heating up. Instability in South Sudan stems from long-standing political, ethnic, and local tensions. Yes. And the SPLAIO is the vice president. So my guess, this is my guess, the president was doing some shit the United States didn't like so much, so we probably approached the vice president, if I had to guess, and we're like, hey, do you want to vie for power? Do you want to oust him? Do you want U.S. backing to vie for power, to take control? And that's probably what caused this, if I had to fucking guess. So this is my guess. Just Google his username in the website. Oh, it's Donald Trump, Truth Social. Real Donald Trump. Oh, I wonder if Machar. No. We got nothing. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. All right. Yeah, so we've got a lot of reading to do. So somebody said that Trump was out here congratulating the vice president. I haven't been able to confirm that. Somebody just said that. You know, that's how it goes. That's what's going on. So there's tensions going on between the SPLA, who's the president, and the SPLAIO, where they're like, no, we oppose you, we're forming our own thing, and that's the Vice President Machar, and suspecting the U.S. is backing the vice president, if we had to guess. So let's take a look really fast at our document here. The hyper-imperialism document. It was an amazing find from Biskowich. An amazing contribution. There is currently one U.S. military base there. There's 13 military deployments to South Sudan in 2022 alone. They, of course, were a colony. They were a colony of the UK and gained their independence not until 2011, which is wild. Very, very late. And they are on the U.S. sanctions list, which gives me further kind of indication that maybe the issue is that we don't like the president for doing things we're not into, and we're trying to get the vice president to take over. That's just my guess. And they've had a history of military intervention, very obviously, as we discussed. And they abstained from voting on the Gaza ceasefire, but they did vote to withdraw from Russia. So they're not the resistance or defiance by any stretch of the imagination. So the question is, are they divided? I think it's pretty obvious they're divided. They have massive internal conflict, but I think since we have the time, we should really try to understand the nature of the internal conflict. Oh, here we go. France, censored. Okay. Opposition group backs U.S. envoy's remarks on South Sudan crisis, calls for detainees release. So this is from yesterday. The Opposition National Democratic Movement Patriotic Front, and the MPF, on Wednesday. What is this? It's a political party in Zambia? Yeah. Or, oh, no, the National Democratic Movement Patriotic Front. This is a break off from this group, I'm guessing. South Sudan's party, founded in 2016. Okay. In South Sudan. All right, so the National Democratic Movement Patriotic Front on Wednesday backed recent remarks by U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz at the UN that South Sudan is not ready to hold free, fair, and credible elections, citing the country's fragile political and security environment. I'm going to go ahead and just do South Sudan purple. I think nobody will contest that. They literally are having Civil War 2.0 right now, and we don't know what's going on. They're not in a position to be part of any global camp. We are trying to probably get involved there with one faction, but who knows what's going on. So I don't think anybody will object to that. They're still in a state of conflict and contesting, yes. But I want to take the rest of the time to learn about the nature of the conflict. So the NDM-PF is led by Emmanuel Adjouan. It's part of the holdout opposition alliance that did not sign the 2018 peace agreement. This movement is aligned with the South Sudan Opposition Movement Alliance, headed by General Thomas Urio. In a statement dated May 6, the group said Waltz's assessment accurately reflects the prevailing realities on the ground in South Sudan, where political tensions and insecurity persist despite the 2018 resolution that was supposed to end the civil war fighting. The opposition group said the current political and security environment was insufficient to guarantee the integrity, transparency, and inclusiveness required for credible elections, warning that holding polls under existing conditions could exacerbate instability and deepen political divisions. Now, my question is, since the SPLA and the SPLA-IO are different factions of the same group, is the opposition party opposed to both of them because that's the president and the vice president, or are they only opposed to the president and are they aligned with the vice president? Because if it is true that Donald Trump voiced support for the vice president's SPLA-IO, then that is the United States trying to do a coup, right? That's a color revolution attempt. And this NDMPF siding with them and then agreeing with U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz, that would be another front, basically, for the U.S. color revolution attempts in the area, which is interesting. Coverage might start doing a waiting room for those of us who don't like the Burger Right chat on Monday. I would probably just stream a playlist and then we would chat and raid Madeline. Okay, great. That's awesome. That would be fun. And that'll get you used to streaming, Virgo. That'll be your in for stream. That would be really cool. I think that sounds like a great idea. The Burger Right chat is stressful, but we do recruit some people. Some people come to us from that. It's your stepladder. Exactly. Yes. Big Gotco loves the conflict-rich atmosphere of the Burger Mines. I agree. Yeah, we do get a lot of our new recruits. That's so true. Oh, was Mike Watts the guy that got thrown under the bus for Signalgate? Was he? Yes, he is. Yes. The Signal group. I forgot about that group chat leak. That was so funny. Oh, you can look at all of his posts, Atari Quest. We were looking to see if he said anything about Machar, Machar, or the SPLAIO. Yeah. Yay. Yeah, it's good to see where the masses are. It's good to see where they are. They're really down there in the trenches. Yeah. They're down there. So the group said Walt's assessment accurately reflects the prevailing realities on the ground. The opposition group said the current political and security environment was insufficient to guarantee integrity, transparency, inclusiveness. They need a genuine, comprehensive, inclusive national dialogue. The group also urged the United States to renew and strengthen the arms embargo on South Sudan, citing ongoing military confrontations among parties signatory to the peace agreement. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So, what I want to note now is, does the NDMPF support SPLAIO? Are they on the same side, or are they on opposite sides? This is going to be interesting for us because it says our sixth group. Virgo Reich. You know what? Okay, if you're going to the doctor and you're a little afraid, sometimes they're weird. I used to go with my friend and I'd be like her health advocate, and I would just call the doctor out on so much weird shit, and the doctor hated me. And the doctor was like, "Why are you even in here? You should leave." And I was like, "She wants me in here." And then the doctor looked at my friend, and my friend was like, it worked really, really well. So you can bring a friend with you and be like, "They're here for me." But I would literally be like, "Your attitude seems kind of weird. It seems like you're kind of being mean. Why are you talking to her like that?" I would just like say shit like that all the time. I'd be like, "Could you say that again nicer? It kind of sounds like she's in trouble. Is she in trouble?" They really hated me. Okay. So here is, this is something written in 2025. And it said that there were 6 groups involved. 6 year. This was not the right way for me to do this. I'm realizing now. All right. In the next 15 months, the SPLM and the SPLMIO, which became the SPLA and the SPLAIO, negotiated 5 different agreements. 6 other groups participated in the negotiation process, but they did not sign the agreement. Well, I want to know who they freaking are. NDMPF, are you listed in here? 6 groups are, yes, here we go. Notes win. Common academic text, notes win. Okay. The UDRM, the United Democratic Revolutionary Movement, the National Democratic Movement Patriotic Front, the National Salvation Front, the South Sudan United Front, Sudan National Movement for Change, and the real SPLM. They are organized as the South Sudan Opposition Movement and Alliance, SSOMA. Okay, so together they're them, and they're opposed to the SPLA. Okay, got it. That's, I think, what it is. I know, all the acronyms get so confusing. I think this is correct. All right, so interesting. Now, South Sudan's President Kiir sacks Army Chief, Finance Minister, and latest reshuffle. So if we are correct that the USA is backing the Vice President, we can expect to see a lot of news in the mainstream press about how evil President Kiir is. So let's see if that checks out. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has dismissed the country's military chief and a finance minister who had been in post for less than 3 months. The dismissals were the latest of frequent changes in the top ranks of Kiir's government in recent years that analysts say signal an effort to consolidate power amid succession uncertainty. Okay, so this is making me think even more that we're backing the vice president guy. This is my guess. Just so suspicious when IS.gov claims to care about other rights in another country. Yeah, exactly. Is that what we're saying? This is also true. It's like, we know these people don't care. United States policy towards South Sudan. Over the past year, this is from 2023, we're working to secure human rights in South Sudan. Okay. Political factions stifle progress and reform. The 2-year extension of President Kiir has further undermined confidence that Kiir's government was committed to reform. Okay. Security challenges, promoting accountability. We got sanctions against them. All right. I'm just gonna... Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, there it is. There it is. Things are starting to make more sense. Is this making sense to you all now? This is making sense to me. Okay. You can predict it. You can predict it at a certain point, right? You're like, why does the United States care about human rights in South Sudan? Why are they sanctioned? Why is Donald Trump congratulating the vice president, who is currently battling the president? Why is Reuters reporting this man is consolidating power amid succession uncertainty just because he fired someone? Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Okay, this is all checking out now. So let's get into what's going on here. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir is expected to travel to Moscow later this year for high-level talks with Russian President Putin for the third Russia-Africa summit amid strong backing for the African country's planned December elections and broader political transition. The development follows a meeting in Juba between Russian Ambassador Alexander Kosmodoyansky. Okay. And Minister of Presidential Affairs Africano Mande Gedima, where Moscow formally delivered an invitation for Kiir to attend the upcoming Third Russia-Africa Summit scheduled for October 28th and 29th in the Russian capital. According to both the Russian Embassy and the Office of the President, the meeting was described as friendly and constructive, focusing on strengthening bilateral ties and expanding cooperation across political, economic, and cultural sectors. So they are involved in the global stage. So I'm inclined to position South Sudan as defiant and say we are in the process of trying to do a color revolution there, but it has not happened yet because they are. It's not like they can't engage geopolitically. They are engaging geopolitically just with Russia. Yeah. I think that's it. Central to the discussions was Russia's pledge to support the South Sudan's electoral process, including a commitment to train staff from the National Elections Commission in Russia ahead of the polls slated for December. The Russian envoy emphasized that relations between Juba and Moscow are grounded in mutual respect for sovereignty and non-interference. Okay, I'm changing it. I'm putting them defiant. Does anybody have an argument for that? Look at this little belt we got going. No wonder we wanted to steal DRC so much. No wonder. Huh. I think defiant, yeah. Kiir's anticipated to be with Putin on the sidelines of the summit is expected to further consolidate these commitments. Yep. And that's why we probably... Did anybody find out if Trump liked Machar, M-A-C-H-A-R? No mention of South Sudan, but nearly $3 million in net spending in Sudan. Yeah, the defiant belt does make a lot of sense, right? It does. We have a defiant belt. Yeah. Trump posted it. I know, that girl's all online. That girl's worse than me on Twitter. She on there. Yep. The continent is starting to take shape. A defiant belt. Regions. We have regions. And you can start to see, too, the Central Africa thing. It really is. We have regions. Portugal, Morocco, touching. Okay. He's unemployed. Oh, man. Okay, so this is the National Democratic Movement. Okay, all right. France believes the UN must continue its support for South Sudan. This is from April 17th, and she's from 2 weeks ago. France joins the African Union in calling on the South Sudan authorities to withdraw the lawsuits initiated against individuals detained for political reasons, including first Vice President Riek Machar. Okay, So France is shaking the finger at waving the finger, French style, at the president as well. Okay, got it. Cool. South Sudan. Oh, look. Where is this from? I don't know what date this is. Heck of a website you've got. UNOCAH. May 8th. There you go. Right at the bottom. Just from today. We have an update actually on Central African Republic. Okay, that's just about aid. UN welcomes commitment to open a Kobo for aid teams. Acting humanitarian coordinator in South Sudan. That's nothing too relevant to us. Nearly 8 million people in South Sudan at risk of acute hunger, according to NGOs. Displacement and conflict worsen an already dire humanitarian crisis. The report warns that 8 million people in the country will suffer high levels of food insecurity in the coming months, equivalent to 56% of the population. Knowing what we know now, though, the question is how real is this? This is from the UN. This is from UNICEF. Is this an attempt to undermine the leadership of South Sudan and imply that they're not able to hold shit together? Is this like when we heard that babies were dying on ventilators in Cuban hospitals? You know? Did we do Algeria yet? We did Algeria, didn't we? Oh my god, this is so embarrassing for me. Yeah, we did cucked brat. They're cucked, but they're like, you know? That's what we did. Okay, remains one of the poorest countries in the world. So this makes me question the hunger thing, because it's like, is this a politically motivated report on hunger there, designed to say, like, their current leadership is incompetent or something like that, you know? So this is a project of the Small Army Survey's Human Security Baseline Assessment Project, maps.org. And this is from September 13th of 2021. So this is when the split happened. The SPLAIO and the armed clashes. It's a crisis in the political marketplace of South Sudan. Neither Gotwich nor Illinois were satisfied with what Machar, the vice president, had offered them since the signing of the 2018 agreement. Machar has retained the loyalty of the majority of the SPLA-IO commanders, but the split has weakened him. Okay, got it. Okay. Atrocity alert number 467. This is from January, South Sudan. Atrocity alert. Venezuela. What are they saying about Venezuela? Oh yeah, so they're talking shit about Venezuela. So let's see what they say about South Sudan. They're spreading lies about Venezuela in the same article. South Sudan is at serious risk of returning to widespread armed conflict amid escalating tensions. Fighting between the SSPDF aligned with President Kiir and the SPLA-IO has intensified since December. Near daily attacks on civilians and repeated SSPDF aerial bombardments, including Nirial, Irad, Ayad, and the Duk countries, have caused civilian casualties and forced large-scale displacement. Opposition forces have escalated efforts to challenge President Kiir by mobilizing fighters and seizing key towns. Okay, we're totally trying to take over South Sudan, aren't we? That's what I think. That's what I suspect. All right. So the map is us mapping out the camps, where the camps lie globally. We have the evil empire in blue, and we have the resistance in pink. So this way, when things happen politically, we know kind of and understand why. It's not surprising this person's allied with this person and where things are going to go, you know? That's why it's not surprising when Taiwan and South Korea and Japan and Ukraine all have the same politics, right? They're allied with each other. That's why when you say, why did so-and-so abstain from voting on what would happen in Gaza? Well, they're on in the same camp as Israel, right? So they can't. Things like that. Yes, exactly. Yes, evil empire G7 and how the rest of the world relates to it. Exactly. Instability in South Sudan. This is Center for Foreign Relations. Okay. Well, that's my 12 p.m. mark. I gotta get out of here, guys. Eep. We did another successful day of map. We have filled in South Sudan as defiant. They are meeting with Russia. We'll see what happens with U.S. engagement if it continues in there. Mask Week coming up. Weebcore. Currently, the average person in the U.S. masks up 2.5% of the time. And you guys know I'm an imperfect masker. Sometimes you'll see me mask, sometimes you won't. So I relate to this. If people shifted to masking 25% of the time, it could result in a 91% reduction in daily COVID cases. I love this. This is a very tangible, easy goal for most people. The goal is for people who have lapsed masking to mask up in the big three: stores, appointments, and public transportation. I like this challenge. This is what I'm going to try to do. I do a little of this already, but to go full for it, I like that. For a full week as an act of community care, resources at maskweek.com. I think this is really cool. I think this is a very reasonable, easy way for us to get thinking about masking again. I appreciate it. I think it's cool. So, thank you for sharing that. I like it. I like it. I like it, everybody. All right, I'm going to send you all with that over to Larry. You mask 85 to 95%. I probably mask 10% of the time. I feel like it's like airplane. If I'm on the bus and there's like a lot of people, if I see someone else in a mask, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll put that on now. Doctor's office is, but I haven't been to a doctor's office in years, so it's not super relevant. Yeah. You know, you never leave your house. You're better than me. You're a better person than me. You know, you mask in the ER. Well, yeah. Well, you know. Yeah, I think I would like to think that I have a more Asian approach to masking, which is it's common sense. If I ever am like, my allergies act up a lot. If I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just gonna, just to be safe, things like that. Yeah. Every single event, you're black blocked and masked. Well, it's also smart to wear a mask to an event. Yes, I think that's really, really smart. So, I like that. I think that is a great initiative. Hegel's big dialecticals. I think that's a good initiative. I think that has concrete, clear goals that most people can get behind. It's reasonable. Fine, don't mask everywhere. Mask when you go into public places where people have to be. That was kind of my thought. Grocery store, you have to go, right? Appointments, public transportation. I think that's smart. I like that. I think that's good. I'm going to personally take that challenge. I'm going to take that challenge. I like it. Okay, everybody. I'm sending you off. Have a lovely day, and I will see you Monday. Have a good weekend. Oh, that's smart, Virgo. That's smart. Okay. Get ready. And goodbye.